The Holy Man, Chapter 33, Rice Run. There were only a few days left in which the Holy Man would be receiving the pilgrims. The nights had already turned cold, and this morning a brief, dry snow had fallen, flakes that were no more than specks of glitter drifting lazily from the sky. In the woods of clattering leaves, the ginkgo trees had turned yellow and soft, so that the perpetual clattering ceased, replaced by a whispering sound of time to leave, time to die, until one after another they floated to the forest floor. The hay was in for the stumpy-legged ponies, who would soon be stabled for the winter. The bolder birds had flown away south. The last cord of wood had been chopped and split for the hermitage stove. Joe needed 6 cords to see him through. One by one the monks were readying themselves to go, and all, except for Ho, who kept maddeningly saying Joe would be fine, were still offering to stay, or urging Joe to winter in the town. "No," he said, "you must return to your individual work, with renewed creativity and passion, and I must stay here in my house. There are too many distractions in the town. Winter is my most fruitful season for thinking. Maybe it is time to write down some of my thoughts." "You always said you didn't believe in writing them down, that they got altered by trying to pin them down, that you had to pass on your teachings in person." "I am not so inflexible that I can't change my mind about things." "That's another reason why you didn't write them down, because you said, once the words were printed, you couldn't change your mind." "Oh, go away. You are all getting so argumentative about everything. I will be glad to be rid of you. That is the trouble with intimacy. You have lost your awe of me and treat me like a child." "I know," said Kim. "Instead of worshiping you, we love you." They were going, one by one. "Today I will do the rice run," Joe said. "I will need 20 pounds. They all wanted to do the rice run with him and help him carry the 20-pound bag up the steep trail, but, as usual, he refused to be accompanied, and they didn't argue with him about this one thing because they knew that the rice run was sacrosanct. Usually when Joe went to town, the pilgrims were told that he wouldn't be receiving that day, so that they needn't stand in line needlessly. But this day they were not told, and so formed their line as usual. "It is almost winter," they said to each other nervously. "How many more days will he see us?" Some of them, at the sign of the first light, dry, glittery snow, were getting ready to start back down. Joe hiked to town and right to the park to play with the children. "This is my last visit until the spring," he told them. "But you will see me at the first thaw. I love the winter time, except for not seeing you children. I learned so much from you all. You are all so good." Whereupon the children all told stories on each other about how bad they were. One beat up his little sister. One didn't do what his mother said and talked smart to her. Another kept skipping school. Another stole candy from the store. On and on. "You are all good as gold," Joe told them. "I love you with all my heart." "We love you too, Joe," they said. "We wish it didn't have to be winter." Nothing lasts. Everything changes. But the changes are the same. Winter will always turn to spring. "Will you always come down at the first thaw, like you have every year?" "As long as I can still put one foot in front of the other." "If you can't, we'll come up to see you." What a good idea. Joe bid them all goodbye, then struggled up the path with the 20-pound bag of rice, making frequent stops, not because he needed to so much, but because he enjoyed prolonging his last trip. At one point, as he took a shortcut across an open field, wild chrysanthemums grew up in his footsteps. The last half-mile was the steepest, and that was where the line began. He set down the rice. "My goodness, that's heavy. I'm not as strong as I used to be," he said to the man at the inn. "I can't leave my place in line, or I'd help you, but I tell you what, we'll pass the bag along the line, and you can walk beside it." "What a good idea," said Joe, as he had to the children. And so they passed the bag of rice along, hands to hands, and Joe walked along, greeting everyone, smiling upon them, touching them, and saying, "This is so kind of you, to help out an old man. If you will treat everyone you meet with such helpfulness and kindness, you will be a very happy person." And so, as he passed them by, it came to them one by one that he was the Holy Man. They had gotten to see the Holy Man after all, those who had despaired to ever reach his door before the snows came. And he had spoken to them and touched them. This was how Joe said goodbye to his last pilgrims every year, so that no one went away disappointed, and it was called the Rice Run.